January 6th, 1998. Cold Hollow, Vermont. A town so small you won't find it on most maps. Nestled deep in the arms of the Green Mountains, it is a place where winters last too long, where the trees seem to whisper secrets to those who dare to listen. Life here is quiet, slow, uneventful, or so it seemed. That night, a 16-year-old girl named Emily Hart was supposed to walk the short distance from her best friend's house back to her own. Just a 10-minute stroll along the snow-covered lane under the watchful eyes of the towering pines. She never made it home. No one ever saw her again. Cold Hollow became a town haunted not just by the unknown, but by the certainty that something unnatural had taken place. The night swallowed Emily whole, leaving behind no trace, no sound, no struggle, only silence. The disappearance was so complete, so impossible, that even the most skeptical among the townsfolk began to wonder. But this is not just a ghost story. This is a true story of a vanishing that defies explanation, a case buried by authorities, feared by locals, and ignored by the outside world. Until tonight. Because tonight, we are about to pull back the veil. By dawn, panic had overtaken the town. Emily's parents, Martha and Peter Hart, frantically called neighbors, the police, anyone who would listen. It wasn't like Emily to stay out late, especially in the biting January cold. Within hours, the community mobilized. Snowmobiles tore through the woods, dogs sniffed for a scent, and helicopters buzzed above, scanning the endless white. Despite the flurry of activity, the only sign of Emily came late in the afternoon. A pair of white Keds sitting perfectly at the edge of Mirror Pond, soles clean, the laces still tied. There were no footprints in the snow leading to or from the shoes. It was as if she had floated there, then simply vanished. Old-timers in town began whispering. Not again, they said, not another one. But what did they mean by another one? The question hung in the air, unanswered. That night, as the search parties gave up for the day, a faint humming echoed from the woods, a tune familiar to anyone who knew Emily. It was the melody of her music box. Emily's room was untouched, her bed made, her school books stacked neatly, a music box still playing the tune she loved. But under the floorboards, hidden beneath a loose plank, her brother Drew found a leather-bound journal. The journal was filled with frantic writing, drawings of symbols that matched no known alphabet, and disturbing entries that hinted Emily had been seeing someone or something. One entry read, "He stands at the corner of my room. Tall, quiet. His smile never fades. I blink, and he's gone. But the mirrors still show him." Another said, "The Echo Man whispers only when I'm alone. When I scream, he screams back. I think he's trying to tell me something, or warn me." Deputy Sarah Collins, one of the first officers to examine the journal, quit the force days later and moved across state lines. She refused to speak publicly for over a decade. When she finally did, in a 2010 podcast interview, her voice shook as she said, "I don't care what people think. I saw something in that mirror. It wasn't me, and it was smiling." The night after the journal was discovered, Drew Hart reported hearing footsteps in the hallway, footsteps that stopped outside his door, then vanished. The next morning, he found a single, freshly fallen pine needle on his pillow. Pine needles from the woods near Mirror Pond. In 2003, 5 years after Emily vanished, 3 teenagers exploring the long-abandoned Elwood farmhouse, a house already connected to a 1968 disappearance, discovered a dusty box labeled only with the number 6. Inside was a single VHS tape. On the screen, a girl, unmistakably Emily Hart, sitting in a darkened room, her eyes locked on the lens. Her voice, barely audible, whispers, "He's behind you." The tape cuts to static. Then, for a split second, a tall, indistinct shadow appears behind her. but the timestamp was what froze authorities. January 6, 1988, 10 years before Emily was born. The tape was taken into evidence. It was never seen again. The boys who found it were visited by two unidentified men, claiming to be from the State Investigation Bureau. One of the teens, now in his 30s, later said, "They told us to forget what we saw, said it was classified. But how do you forget a girl who hadn't been born yet staring straight at you?" That same night, one of the boys, Aaron, woke to find his bedroom window open, the curtains fluttering in the cold. On his dresser, a single white kid's shoe, the mate to the one found at Mirror Pond. Mirror Pond. Still, frozen, surreal. No fish have ever been caught in it. No one remembers swimming in it. But every year on January 6th, no matter the weather, the pond freezes solid. Locals say the pond speaks. On quiet nights, if you stand still, you can hear faint whispers. They don't sound like wind. They sound like voices, murmurs of names you almost recognize. In desperation, the Hart family contacted Maria Langley, a psychic medium with a reputation for solving cold cases. She arrived on January 22, 1998. Langley walked the edge of the pond, paused, then collapsed. Witnesses say she screamed Emily's name over and over, before suddenly going silent. Later that night, she told reporters, "She's not gone. She's behind the veil. She's stuck in a space where sound echoes forever. She's trying to get out." Maria Langley never returned to Vermont. She refused all future interviews. She died in 2011. In her final journal entry, she wrote, "Don't look into the water. It remembers." A year after her visit, a local fisherman claimed to have seen a figure standing in the middle of the frozen pond, a girl in a blue dress, her face obscured by mist. When he blinked, she was gone. Retired journalist Howard Sims began compiling data from Cold Hollow's public archives. He wasn't looking for anything in particular, but what he found sent a chill down his spine. January 6, 1938. Margaret Green disappears. January 6, 1968. Thomas Elwood disappears. January 6, 1998. Emily Hart disappears. All teens, all vanished near Mirror Pond, all exactly 30 years apart. Sims approached Dr. Elaine Foster, a Dartmouth folklore expert, who recognized a familiar pattern, a myth from the Abenaki tribe, the legend of Endalna, the borrower. Once every generation, the borrower takes a life in exchange for protection. The town thrives in its silence, its peace bought by the sacrifice of an innocent. Sims believed Cold Hollow had made a deal, a terrible, unspoken deal that no one dared break. Every 30 years, we pay the toll. I think that's the only reason Cold Hollow still exists. But Sims's research didn't stop there. He uncovered one more name, a disappearance in 1908, also on January 6th, also a teenager. The pattern was older than anyone realized. Beyond Mirror Pond, through dense woods and broken trails, lies a circle of stones that predate any modern record. Hunters call it the Devil's Loop. No map shows it, no compass works inside it. In 2001, a hiker named Alyssa Monroe went missing for 48 hours. When found, she was standing motionless in the center of the circle, eyes open but unblinking, lips moving soundlessly. When she finally spoke, she whispered, "Emily's waiting." That same year, a private investigator named Terry Mullins attempted to document the loop. He spent one night. By morning, he was found unconscious, nails cracked, pupils clouded white. On the tree above him, the word Emily was scratched deep into the bark with his own fingernails. A year later, a team of paranormal investigators set up cameras around the loop. The footage showed nothing unusual until the final night. In the last frame, a shadowy figure appeared, reaching toward the camera. The next morning, all the equipment was found smashed, the memory cards wiped clean. The Hart home has long been vacated, the windows boarded, the doors sealed. But something still lingers there. Each year on January 6th at precisely 9:33 p.m., the exact time Emily vanished, her bedroom light flickers on. No electricity, no functioning bulb. Yet witnesses have seen the room glow. Neighbors have reported hearing soft humming, the tune of Emily's music box. Tenants who dared stay longer than a week described vivid nightmares, strange reflections, and the chilling sensation of being watched through mirrors. One former resident, a writer, woke up to find a journal on his desk. It was Emily's, the same one believed to be locked away in evidence storage. The next morning, it was gone. He never wrote again. A local historian attempting to document the phenomenon set up a camera in the Hart house. The footage showed nothing until the final night, when the camera captured a shadowy figure standing in the doorway of Emily's room. The figure turned, smiled, and vanished. January 6th, 2028 is approaching. Another 30-year cycle. Another name perhaps already chosen. Cold Hollow grows quieter each year. Families move away. The town seems to resist new life. Yet Mirror Pond remains, frozen, still, patient. Is it superstition, coincidence, or is there something ancient beneath those waters? Something that listens, that remembers? Emily Hart is still gone. No body, no answers, only echoes. And when the next January 6th arrives, who will the borrower take? Because in the end, every reflection hides a secret. Every shadow holds a promise. And every echo, if you listen closely, is a voice from the other side. Because in Cold Hollow, the past never truly leaves. It watches, it waits. And when the time comes, it takes. Because in the stillness of Mirror Pond and in the silence of the loop, something stirs. Something that remembers every name, every face, every promise ever made. Because in the cold, dark heart of this town, the borrower is always listening. So when the clock strikes 9:33 this January 6th, if you find yourself near a quiet pond or catch a glimpse of something behind you in the mirror, don't look. Because once you see him, he sees you too.